Hey, welcome back. I have a new t-shirt by Intimate Noise. They make samples, pretty nice samples, and you can visit the website. I put a link in the description so you can download some nice samples for your productions. And yeah, but you can see we have a different viewpoint to my room here because I'm currently in the midst of transitioning from the Mac to the PC. I had currently running a dual setup where I have a PC for gaming because you can't game on a Mac. That's a fact. And I'm using my Mac for coding work and for making music, cutting videos, and so on. But this Mac is pretty old now, 10 years or so. And I also have a cinema display, and there's an eyesight in this cinema display, and I'm using it for making my tutorials on YouTube. But I currently have a new screen, but there is no cam inside, so I have to buy a new nice camera. And the benefit of this is basically I can move the camera around. And if you have some tips for nice webcams you like, then yeah, put it in the description. I'm happy about that. Yeah, in this video I want to talk about the diatonic transposer because Tropical Nation, a guy or a user of the Bitwig Discord, asked how you can create some sort of chord device. And he showed me a video tutorial from a guy in Ableton Live. And this guy used transition map to basically correct chords to a scale. And he asked how you can do that in Bitwig. And I said, just use the diatonic transposer because it's the same thing. It corrects wrong notes to the right notes of a scale. So you choose a scale and then the transposer will correct the notes. So the first thing we have to add is, of course, in polysynth to have some kind of sound. And in front of the polysynth, we're using now the diatonic transposer. And we choose our scale, which is A, and then we choose a mode, which is minor, and we keep the constraint mode active. This means a wrong input or a note out of the scale will be corrected or shifted to a different note, which is in the scale. So we can't press a wrong note. This means we can play each note on the keyboard and are always in the scale, which is pretty fun if you can't play keyboard. And also this means we can now lay down some chords. Okay, if we turn this diatonic transposer off, so we have always diatonic chords. Diatonic means that all notes are in a scale. And you can see we have now 3 notes here, and we can make our life pretty easy when we choose the multi-note in front of the diatonic transposer. And instead of choosing a root, which is 0, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, choose the notes or play or paint in the notes manually, we can now use this here and delete these keys and have the same effect because this multi-note will duplicate the notes to different to different keys. So we have 3 semitones above the root and 7 semitones above the root note. And the root note is A. And now we can just use one note So this is a pretty easy way to find starting chord progressions. Of course, diatonic chords are maybe a bit boring in the long run, but for the start, if you want to lay down a rough draft for your chord progression, it's a pretty easy way to find the right chords. And of course, you can then start and maybe record from polysynth, multi-note, trade-training transposer. You can, of course, record that, as you can see, and then you can make some changes, you know, also an instrument here. And spicing up some things or add some additional notes or, you know, try some different stuff. And so you can use this to make some drafts, then you can record the chord progression, make some changes, and then you can bounce it down to audio at the end. And it's a pretty easy start and a pretty easy setup to do in Bitwig. And what you also can do is use here one of the note receivers and just choose our first track after the diatonic transposer, so we get the correct notes on this track here. Add an arpeggiator. Add one polysynth again. And maybe some delay. And you can experiment with chord changes. Or add some, unusual changes. And there's also one tip for bass lines, which I sometimes used. Just use this note receiver here and use the arpeggiator again. Choose this mode. So you have, I'll show you. So we have no arpeggiated chords, but this time we go to the settings of the polysynth and choose just mono mode. So this synth can only play one note at a time. And now this one has a problem because we input chords, so multiple notes. And most of the times the synth is choosing the root note or the first note. So you can use this maybe for bass lines when you just need one note of the chord progression or of the chord, of the currently played chord, and you just want to have the root note as the bass note. And there is a better way, which is called Cthulhu. Let's find this, which is a plugin by Xfer. And as you can see, this is also an arpeggiator. But in this arpeggiator, you can also choose the note you want to have from the input chord. So when you have a chord going into this plugin, so 3 notes at the same time, you can say, oh, just give me the bottom one, the bottom note of this chord progression, right? And now it's crashed. Something like this. And you can then make alterations. So this is a pretty easy way of creating interesting melody lines. Also, so for instance, if you don't want to have a bass like I have here with all the bottom notes, you can say, oh, just make a melody line out of it. Maybe it's a bit of delay. So now you basically created the melody from the chord notes you created in the first track. You can basically create a whole melody, bass and chord arrangement just with the multi-note, the diatonic transposer and the note receiver to get the notes on different tracks. Then use Cthulhu or the arpeggiator to just create melody lines or bass lines. And then when you're done and you found your idea or the vibe you're looking for, then you just bounce everything down to audio or to notes or to MIDI and yeah, use it that way. But as you can hear, it sounds nice, but if you do this all the time, it gets boring after a while, choosing only diatonic chords. Sometimes you want to break out of the diatonic scale scheme, and maybe you choose different modes here, like Lydian or Phrygian, or just modulate this button here, just switch from minor to major at some point in your chord progression. This will spice up some things. And yeah, I hope I gave you enough ideas to create interesting melody lines and chord progressions. I think I also made this tutorial some years back, but without talking over the video. And I hope this is, this is enough to bring you the idea across. So thanks for watching. Comment me in the comments if you have some questions about it, or if you want to see some different tutorials about different topics, let me know. And I see you in the next video. Thank you for watching and bye.